On industrial informatics. Her research interests include embedded systems, digital image processing, and engineering education. She has completed the IUCEE International Engineering Educator Certification Program with the distinction in the year 2019. She is reviewer for several journals and peer evaluator of capstone presentation. She has organized several faculty development programs and been a resource person in the domain of teaching and learning in both face-to-face mode and online mode. Recently, she organized an AICTE approved 2-week FDP on creative pedagogy and its significance in engineering education. Her vision is to bring forth a generation of industry-ready engineers with excellent values to provide innovative and simple engineering solutions that makes life better for the people across India. So it's our pleasure to welcome you, ma'am, for our program. Now the session is yours.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I request you to permit me to share the screen. I would like to share my screen now.
Yes, ma'am, you can share it.
I hope the screen is visible to you.
Yes, ma'am, visible, clear.
Yeah, thank you. First and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. Murugan Ramaswamy sir for allowing me to give me this opportunity to take part in this AICTE ISTE sponsored program. I'm so happy and so privileged to be part of this program. And I hope faculty members from different institutions across the country are taking part. I would like to welcome you all to this session. I want this session to be interactive. I know it is in the afternoon time post lunch, and most of you will be extremely busy in your academic work in your campus. But I think that this session will definitely be useful to you, and it will be, if it is interactive, it will be extremely good. So I want you to take part actively. Sir has asked me for MCQs also. So that also, it will be easy and it will be helpful if you could attend the session in full spirit. Hoping to get your fullest cooperation, I'm proceeding. So the topic given to me was student diversity and teaching and learning in higher education. So being the Associate Dean of Savita Teaching Learning Center, which I have established at Savita Engineering College, it's my privilege and I'm so glad to be part of this value-based education. So we all are here to improve the student capability. Students have lots of capabilities. How are we supposed to do it? All of us can tell that students are not the same as we saw them earlier, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. We can see there is vast difference between the students which we saw 2 decades ago and the students which we see right now. So what shall we do about this? Can we do anything about it at all? Or is it just going to be the same? And this pandemic has also made it even more worse. Students are not interested to study. Students want their marks to be gained very easily. All these are the complaints that we frequently give about the students. So let's see how to change this scenario. Let's see whether it is possible to change and how to change. Let me proceed. So at the end of the session, we'll be able to understand what is the teaching learning process. Me and my learner, let us understand the difference between us. And what are the 21st century skills? What are the domains of learning? And what is Bloom's taxonomy? All these are the topics that we will be learning in this session. So why is this shift? Why are we all talking about there should be some change? Why is this program? Why should we conduct this program? What is the purpose of it? It's because we are currently preparing students for jobs and technologies that don't yet exist. In order to solve problems that we don't even know our problem set. We don't know the problems, but we are preparing the students for that. So see our challenge. This is the greatest challenge we faculty members have. So in that case, what can we do about it? So I need few answers. Only if it is interactive, it will be interesting. If you could just turn on your audio and answer it, it will be good. Else, if you could type it in the comment box also, that's also good. I want you to tell what is this. Can you see and tell what is this? I have lots of pictures and I have lots of questions. So if you could answer, it will be interesting. What is this? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone see what they are doing? Have anyone seen this game?
Bowling, ma'am, bowling.
Yeah, very good, very good. Thank you, sir. This is snow bowling. So all of us are very interested. You can see there are boys to just place the balls there. So the snowballs are there. They are placing it there. So they are recruited to keep this. That is their job. This is one of the job. Nowadays, what happened? We've all automated it. So automatically it will be arranged. No need of any person to arrange. At that time, they would not have thought that this job will not be existing anymore. But this job is no more. Can you imagine what is this? Any guess of what is this? Yes. Many people are sitting and working in one entire room. Looks like an office.
Yes, ma'am.
But it looks like an office, but this is just a computer, mainframe computer. All of them are working together to feed it into the computer. The entire room itself is supposed to be a computer. But we all know how we are using the systems nowadays. We all have only laptops, desktops, laptops. All these are replaced now. We don't have an entire room. Earlier, for just a memory, we need a big space to have our CPU. But nowadays, it's not like that. We have got hard disk, which is all portable. All this has changed. What is this? Can you see? You can
Camera.
see cameraman. We have appointed a photographer to take a small photo in the beach. Nowadays, I don't think, except for the pre-wedding, post-wedding shoots, I don't think any of us have a photographer to take casual shots when we go to a beach, right? What do we do now? We are living in the era of taking group fees and selfies. So all of us have mobiles where we all have cameras. So this is the age that we are living in. We are able to accept all these changes, isn't it? Now, what are we doing? Have you all known about the Swiggy a decade back? Any of us have used the Swiggy a decade back? No, it came into existence very recently. And right now, we have started using the word let's Swiggy it. Let's Swiggy this. We don't even say let's order. We'll just say we Swiggy it. So that is how we have changed. Yes. So we have accepted it. So gladly we accepted it. And these Swiggy people only helped us during the pandemic when we were not able to cook at home, when we were not able to go and sit in the restaurant and enjoy ourselves. These are the people who brought us home, brought food to our home. So all this are changes. It was not existing earlier. Nowadays it is existing and we all have accepted. Booking, hotel booking or flight booking, any travel booking, rooms booking, whatever it is, or even payment, EB current bill payment or tax payment, everything we do it online. Even this session, we are doing it online. 2 years back, we didn't have any session like having a FDP in online. We didn't think about it before 2020. But this pandemic have brought everything to online. We have accepted it. There is no other go. We have accepted it. Gladly, we have accepted it. Yes, all these are changes. But knowledge doubling curve, this is one thing that we should observe. You can see knowledge is doubling every century in 1900. Whereas in 1945, you can see knowledge is doubling in every 25 years. So from 100 years, it has become 25 years. And after that, In 1982, they started telling that knowledge is doubling every 12 to 13 months, which means just within a year, the knowledge is doubling. That is the speed at which the advancement is taking place. In 2020, IBM predicts knowledge is doubling 11 to 12 hours. Every 11 to 12 hours, the knowledge is getting double. So that is the advancement that is happening in scientific world, technical world. So right now we are in 2021. We are going to close this 2021 another couple of weeks, and we are going to enter into a new era. So the change is permanent. Change is permanent, and we need to adapt to it. So this change is definitely permanent. We cannot avoid. We need to accept. Lot has changed, and still it is changing. Are we changing? We, the faculty members, are we changing? This is the way the classes were taught earlier. How do we teach now? There are lots of changes, but is there any change? Earlier in 1980s or in 1940s, this is the way it was taught. Even till date, we do the same thing. We need to bring in a change from teacher-centric to learner-centric. Teaching was around the teacher. Yes, the teacher will be the center of attraction. The teacher knows everything. The teacher will keep talking and the students have to listen. The teacher will tell what has to be done. The students will just follow. The teacher will work out the problem on the board. The student have to just take it down. Yes, the teacher decides what he or she will do when he or she will keep the test, and whatever she does, it has to be done. Okay. So everything is revolving around the teacher. This we call it to be teacher-centric. We need to move on to learner-centric, where the learner takes the center position. So in this current scenario, earlier we were teacher-centric, now we are expected to become learner-centric. Why do we need this change? We all studied it the same way. Now, why then should we change? Why should I change? How should I change? Let's get some answers at the end of the session. I hope this session will definitely help you to find answers for this question. We need to change because the learner's characteristics are changing. All the learners are not the same. We know that there is a difference between us and the students. There is a big gap between us and the students. There is a big gap between elders and us. Same way, there is a gap between us and students. Can few of you tell, one or two of you can tell, what are the characteristics of the students right now? Students, I mentioned it as learners. So if you could tell, what are the characteristics of this students right now? Any answers? Yes. So it tells me that I should not ask any question.
Participants.
So only if it is interactive, it will be interesting to go on. I think. Okay. Okay, fine, sir. Then I'll not ask any more questions. Let me continue with the session, sir. So the characteristics of learners. There are diversity of learners. Learners are of different types. So we need to...
There is a reply from participant chat box.
Okay, sir. I'm not able to see the chat box.
They are advanced learners.
They are advanced learners. Thank you so much. So this shows I can ask questions, so one or two of you might answer. That gives me a lot of energy. So they learn it very well. Let us not underestimate our students. Madam or sir, I do not know, but the person who has answered, he has given the correct answer. They are advanced learners. They are not in our level. We need not underestimate the students. They are above us only. We need to accept it. It is difficult, but let's accept it. Yes, and the diversity of learners. Learners are from different places and there are lots of differences. There is a lot of diversity. Yes, let's learn about what is diversity. The way they learn is totally changing. I have the habit of studying in a calm place. I cannot sit in front of a TV and study. I cannot listen to music and study. That is my habit. But nowadays, the students are not like that. They want to have earphone, they want to listen to music, and along that only they want to learn. That is the way they learn. We need to accept it. The skills the learner should possess is also very challenging. There are lots of skills that the learner should have, the students should have. Only then they'll be able to get employed. Yes, so all these we need to know. And learners should be industry ready. The one biggest complaint that we receive from all the companies are, even if we recruit the students, they are not able to survive in our company. They are not ready to adapt. So they require lots of skills. So that is the biggest challenge. So how are we going to equip our students? How are we going to make our students industry ready? That is what we are going to see today. So this is a learning pyramid. I do not know how many of you have seen this. This is a learning pyramid. You can see the structure. I have divided the learning pyramid into two parts. One we call it to be passive teaching methods. Another one is participatory teaching methods. So what is this passive teaching method? So passive teaching is giving lecture without asking any questions. Just give lecture. Don't mind about whether others are listening or not listening, whether they are available or not available. You keep on talk. That is what is lecture. So you can see the students' learning takes place. Only 5% of students can learn in this method. Only 5% of the content that we teach will get into the mind of the students. You see, just imagine you teach for 100%. The students can learn from your lecture only 5%. That is what is the passive teaching method. You keep reading or the student keep reading, then around 10% of the content can be learned by the student. Okay, if I make it to be audio visual, so some videos are there, some audios are there, audio visual, then probably 20%. You can see here the percentage increases, how much of percentage the student is able to learn from the content that is taught to him. And 30% is learned if it is demonstrated. So I take a model, go to the class, show it and demonstrate it. So around 30% is getting into his mind. So these methods where the students are not involved to do anything, all these are teacher-centric. The teacher is at the center, the teacher is doing it. Yes, teacher is giving a lecture, teacher is reading a book, teacher is showing some audio-visual clipping, teacher is demonstrating with the model. All these are passive teaching methods, and you can see just 5%, 10%, 20% or up to 30% of knowledge retention is there. Coming on to the participatory teaching methods where the student also involves in the learning process. It is not one way. Teaching is not one way. It has to be two ways. You have to teach and the students have to learn. So this is what participation means. Both of us should participate. So like now I am asking questions and Ramaswamy sir, Murugan Ramaswamy sir is giving me answers, and one more faculty of you was kind enough to give you answer. That is participatory. You are taking part in this session. Only then you will be gaining something. If I'm going to talk alone, nothing, you will not remember anything. So here when you're going to take part, you see if we organize a group discussion inside the class, whatever they learn through group discussion, 50% of the content can be retained. This is all based on a study. I'm not giving it on my own. This is all based on a study. And if you allow the student to practice whatever they are learning, that is why we have practical sessions, then 75% of what he has learned, he can retain it. So these are all knowledge retention rates. The percentage that I have mentioned are the knowledge retention rates. So 75% of the content they can retain. Okay. So 90% of the content can be retained if you teach others. So that is the biggest power of teachers. So if you teach others, you are able to see that if I do a problem on the board, I help a student to learn his problem. I don't forget the problem. Throughout my life, I don't forget. Why? Because I have taught the problem to someone else. So it is not possible for me to forget. That is why we are able to retain it. That is 90% of whatever knowledge you have, you can retain if you teach others. These are all called as your participatory teaching method, where you involve the students to take part in the classes. Now we shall see about learners' diversity. VARK, this is very simple to remember. VARK, VARK. So what is this VARK? V stands for visual learners. So there are 4 types of learners. We cannot assume all the children are the same way I can teach everyone. No. So what is this visual learners? When you say visual learners, whatever they see, no, if it is going to be an image, or you've shown him a graph, or you've shown him a comparative chart, he'll be able to grasp the content. If he sees it, it will get registered in his mind. He'll be able to learn it easily. So those types of learners, you call it to be visual learners. They are very good in they have very good strength in their visual capability, in their seeing ability. Then you have A. A stands for auditory learners. Auditory learners is just listening. Good in listening. If they just listen, they'll be able to retain the knowledge. They'll be able to understand a lot if they just listen. They need not study at all. Auditory. So if you take class, if they listen to it, they'll remember. Most of you can just recite the songs. How? Because you keep on listening to it. Yes, just by listening, if you're good auditory learners, then you can learn anything only by listening. I don't know how many of you have this experience of asking your parents, especially for Tamil exam, asking your parents to read the content. Amma, in the Tamil kadai padinga, in the lesson padinga, na abdi padikkiradha kettu na poi exam ezhudiruven. So some of you would have told. Any one of you are here like that? Anyone who is having the capability of just, if I listen to something, I can go and write my exam? Anyone who is capable like that? Just analyze yourself. Which learner do you belong to? Even in the small group of 25 of us, or not all of us belong to the same type of learners. Yes?
Yes, ma'am. During our college days,
Yes, sir.
we used to do for theory subjects.
Theory subjects. யாராவது ஒருத்தர் படிங்கப்பா அப்படியே கேட்டுட்டு போய் எழுதிட்டு வந்துடலாம்.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that will be a lot helpful if you're not at the fake end of the exam, no? Before the day before, 1 or 2 days before, somebody would have completed studying. Just padida, notes the padida, keta எழுதிடலாம். So such type of learners are there. So even in 25 faculty who are there in this meet, all of us do not belong to the same category. Here comes my category, reading and writing. I belong to this category, reading and writing. I have to write everything. If I'm studying something, I should have a paper and pen with me. I will write the important points so that I will just go through it before the day before the exam. I just go through the hints that I have taken. Apart from this type, I cannot learn. I cannot just listen to someone and go and write. That is not possible. Or if I just see, it will not get into me. I have to write it. I belong to this category. And then there is one special category, kinesthetic learners. My son belongs to this category. All of you can relate. You can just analyze yourself and relate. If you could put it in the comment box, well and good, I'll be extremely happy. Which type of learner are you? Which type of learner are you? If you could put it in the chat box, it will be really good. Just analyze yourself and find out what is the type of learner are you? Any comments in the chat box? If you could put, no, you can just analyze. எப்படி படிச்சா நமக்கு புரியும்? எப்படி படிச்சா நம்மளால ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்க முடியும்? Yes, நமக்கு எப்ப எது தெரியும்? If you can just put it in your chat box, it will be good. Advanced learners, slow learners, ma'am, put it. Okay. So if you could put it, it will be good. Right. I'll go back to the. So all of us will belong definitely to any one of this type of learners. So that is what you mean by VARK. Learners diversity, visual learners, auditory learners, kinesthetic learners, and reading and writing learners. We should also know whom are we teaching. யாருக்கு பாடம் நடத்துறோம்? whom are we teaching? We should know that as well. We are teaching the millennial generation. Millennial generation is right now, all of them will be 17 years to 21 years. That will be the age, which means they were all born in the 2000, 2001 students. Children class higher education. Yes, we are teaching students who are born after 2000. So after 2000, whoever is born, they belong to the millennial generation. This is one term they have given for millennial generation. 2000 Can you tell me the characteristics of these millennial learners? Characteristics of these millennial learners, I have mentioned few. You can relate it to them. Short attention span. They cannot listen to you for a very long time. If you are going to give a 2-hour lecture, nobody will be there in the class. Or even if they are in the class, they will not even listen to us. So they've got very short attention span. And speed of access matters. Yes, they want everything immediately. Instant generation, we call them instant generation. 2-minute noodles. They want everything immediately. Instant generation. That's why all of them run towards fast foods. They are not ready to go sit in a restaurant and have their meal. They want everything instant, fast food. They want their images to be downloaded immediately. They cannot even wait. We all have seen era where loading, all that we have seen. But nowadays, this generation people, they cannot sit and wait for seeing that loading. They want very, very high speed data. Yes, and exposure to technologies at different level. We all are learning. They all were born with mobiles. Yes, so they've seen all technology. So they are very good in technology. Where certain things we do not know. They say it as Snapchat, streaks, all that technologies and terms they use. They know how all to use WhatsApp. We all do not know to that extent. Yes, so the exposure to technology is very good, extremely good. Even if you go for a restaurant, they know how to find where the restaurant is, which restaurant is good, and which restaurant, which food is good. All this they know. But it is difficult for us to identify. We might ask our friends in the restaurant, that is the way we found it. But nowadays, just within a click of button, they'll find out whether this restaurant is good and what is the menu, whether it is open right now or it is closed, how long it is from our place. All this they know. Yes, so they are extremely great in the exposure. They have good exposure to the technology. So they are very good, but they should also be ready for Industry 4.0. Right now we are in Industry 4.0 and very rapidly we are moving on to Industry 5.0. So what is Industry 4.0? Machines are augmented with wireless connectivity and sensors. So in industries, it is all connected with wireless connectivity and sensors. And machines are connected to a system that can visualize the entire production line. And everything is automated. Basically, everything is automated. Even when you enter a place, the doors open on their own. And when you move off, the doors get closed. So everything is getting automated. Even vehicles, cars, they can move on their own, automated cars. Yes, Tesla is giving such cars where there's no need of, you need not drive. You can just sit and the car will take you to the place where you have to go. So such automation has come in. So then our students, engineering students, have to be ready to face such an industry. The very old curriculum that we have or the very old syllabus that we had earlier, no, that will not help our students. But because when they go into the industry, everything will be new to them. So we should prepare them to see the latest industry. So this is the industrial revolution. You can see the industrial revolution, how it is happening. What is the difference between Industry 1.0 revolution and Industry 2.0 revolution? 100 years. Yes, 100 years was the difference between the first and second revolution. So in first revolution, mechanization, steam power, weaving the loom, all this were invented. When you go for 1880s, all the mass production, lot of machines, big machines started producing quantities and large, nothing was handmade. Electrical energy came into place. So all electrical machines were there. And another 100 years, Industry 3.0, third industrial revolution was there in 1980. Again, automation slowly started with computers and electronics coming into place. And that is when we started using, we have started developing computers, laptops, all that. Okay. In Industry 4.0 revolution, now in 2010s, it has become Internet of Things, IoTs, networking, all this have come into place. So that is Industry 4.0, fourth industrial revolution. Now we are heading to fifth revolution. So in Industry 4.0, all these are the new topics that we get into. So we should make, these are the topics, these are the contents that are there in the industry. These are the things that industries are involved into. We should think how much content have we integrated into our syllabus. When students go to the industry, they should not say, இதெல்லாம் நான் பார்த்ததே கிடையாது. இதெல்லாம் நான் கேள்விப்பட்டதே கிடையாது. That's not right. As engineering students, they should be prepared to see the latest that is happening in the industry. So this is Industry 4.0 revolution, and we should make our students ready to meet this industry. And we are also progressing into Industry 5.0 very rapidly, where you are going to work along with robo. So human being along with robots. When you sit in an office, next to you, a robot will be sitting and working. So that is how the system is going to get. That's why we talk a lot about artificial intelligence. AICT also enforces lots of contents on emerging trends, artificial intelligence, machine learning, yes, deep mining, data mining. All these are coming in place because we are going to work with machines. Our competitors will be machines, robots. So how do we achieve this? Saying all this, we should know how to achieve this. Yes. What is this? G stands for? This G stands for Google. So Google is there. So for everything, Google is there. So if you say a topic to a student, we need not even go and teach. It is already there in YouTube. For everything, if you say, what is this? If you ask a question, what is Industrial Revolution? What is Industrial Revolution 4.0? Immediately you can Google it and tell you the answer. Yes. So everything Google is there. Then what is the purpose of a teacher? Then why teachers? When Google is there for everything, then why are we needed? Yes, there is a question, right? If you're not going to give something different in the classroom, there will come a day where there is no need of teachers because internet is there. I have mobile in my hand. I can access any content. Most of the courses are online. You can even see NPTEL has given all the courses online. I can learn it online. I can even earn a degree online. Everything I can do it. Then why should I come and sit in the class? What is the necessity? When Google is there, he is all in all. Google is God now. Then why do I need teachers? How are we going to justify? Technology cannot replace teachers. Yes, this is possible only when we keep us updated. Only when we are able to handle this technology wisely, we'll continue in this profession. Otherwise, we'll be thrown out of this profession in no time. How are we going to equip ourselves? Again, I have a question. In this picture, there is a hidden tiger. Can anyone spot out? If the session has been a face-to-face session, the session, I think it would have been great.
Yes.
Sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Hidden tiger, enga therida? Can you see a hidden tiger? You can see a tiger there. Can you see the hidden tiger? Sir, mattumda answer பண்றாங்க. Sir, வழியே இல்ல. Okay, நான் ரொம்ப trouble பண்ணல. This is the hidden tiger. It is written on the tiger. நீங்க image பாத்தீங்கன்னா தெரியும். The hidden tiger அப்படினு tiger மேலயே எழுதி இருக்கு.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Yes, madam.
Sir, yes. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, Muthukumar, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is the hidden tiger. So we have to see from different perspective. None of us would have seen, no? We will all searched in the trees. மரத்துக்கு பின்னாடி ஒளிஞ்சிருக்கா இந்த இலைக்கு பின்னாடி இருக்கா? That's how we would have searched. So we should see in a different perspective. We should think out of the box. And that is how we learn. Yes. So there needs to be a perspective shift. I should totally shift my eyes. I should not be the same as I used to teach for the past 20 years or 25 years. Then again, as I told you, Google will replace me. How am I going to be in this condition? How am I going to continue in this profession? This profession becomes challenging day by day. Many of them talk about the challenges that IT people are facing. Nobody talks about the challenges that faculty members are facing, because the students are becoming even a greater challenge for us. Every day is a challenge for us. How do we do it? So we should know our student. This is one clipping from a movie by Amir Khan. I forgot the name of the movie. I totally forgot. This is a Hindi movie by Amir Khan. It's a very nice movie where it shows about the relationship between a student and the teacher. The student had dyslexia problem and Tare Zameen Par. The movie's name is Tare Zameen Par. So the student had a dyslexia problem, so he won't be able to concentrate anything on it, and no teacher was able to understand him. And one teacher who took some pains and found out why is the student so silent, he was able to understand the student. That teacher was able to transform his life. So we all are in a position to transform the lives of our students. So we should all try to transform. It's not just another job. This is a profession. This is a very noble profession. So teaching is a noble profession. So it is not just like that, just like any other job. So how are we going to do it? If you know your student, you'll be able to transform the lives of your students. So if a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. Yes, I love this statement. If he is not able to learn the way that we teach, we should teach the way they learn. Yes, I have seen Dr. Muthukumar, who is a participant here. He has changed the way he was teaching. He was teaching in a very traditional method, and after coming to know that students need a change, he was immediately very much willing to change the way he has started to learn, to teach. Now he has got wonderful ways and methods to teach, and he is enjoying that. So here there is one person called Dr. Benjamin Bloom. He has devised something called as Bloom's taxonomy, and based on 3 domains of learning. There are 3 domains of learning which is going to build the career of a student. So what are the 3 domains? Cognitive domain, which deals with the knowledge that he has to achieve. Another one is the psychomotor domain, which is about the skills that he has to achieve. And affective domain, which deals with the attitude that your student should have. I always tell my students, attitude is the best one. If you do not have a good attitude, it will not take you anywhere. Bad attitude is like a flat tire. It will not take you anywhere. So our duty is not only to give them knowledge, not only imparting knowledge, we should also teach them the skills. We should also teach them how to have their attitude. All these are our responsibilities. So we need to teach covering all these 3 domains: cognitive domain, psychomotor domain, and affective domain. So Bloom's taxonomy Benjamin Bloom has defined Bloom's taxonomy for all the 3 domains. So let's see one by one. I'll go very quick. So in cognitive domain, there are different levels. The lower level will be remember, that is the way in which we need to teach the students. For certain time, it is sufficient if they just remember certain contents. They need to just remember. Yes, and certain things they need to understand. Certain they need to know how to apply. So these levels of thinking, they are called to be lower order thinking skills. So any teacher can teach the student for this lower order thinking skills. LOTS stands for lower order thinking skills. Any teacher can do it, any student can achieve it. But the challenge comes for our higher order thinking skills. What are they? Say if we have a student like our former president, Dr. APJ, he would have been a very bright student. We know he is a missile man of India. We know how brilliant he was. So to handle such students, we cannot underestimate. One of a student can become a very great scientist. He can become a great researcher. So in that case, we should be proud to have such student in the class. So we should be able to handle them. We should be able to address their questions. We should be able to answer their questions. Yes, we should not Just scold him and ask him to sit down. Don't ask any question. ரொம்ப அதிக பிரசங்கித்தனமா எதுவும் கேட்காத. வாயை மூடிட்டு உட்காரு. If we are going to do that, no other student is going to ask questions. No. We should allow them to ask questions. Yes. So this higher order thinking skill comes with this. Analyze. So we should teach in such a way. We should give questions in such a way that the student will be able to analyze. He'll be able to evaluate and create. So these set of skills we know, you call it to be higher order thinking skills. In higher education, our concentration should be to improve the higher order thinking skills of our students. Don't blame them as they are slow learners, they do not have any intelligence, they are not at all worthy for it, they are stupid. No, don't underestimate. We should improve, or we should inculcate the higher order thinking skills of students. How can we do it? We should take some steps to teach it at that level. We expect the students to be great. So in that case, teachers should be extremely great so that we can address those students. So this is the Bloom's taxonomy for psychomotor domain, where again, this is with respect to practical sessions, where I need to perceive things, you need to set things right, you need to have a guided response mechanism, complex overt response, and adaptation. So only if you do come across all these stages, he or she will be able to develop a prototype at the end of it. Yes. So origination. So final level will be origination, where they can create their own ideas. Where they can bring life to their ideas. That is where your startups and all come into place. So all these are your psychomotor domains, where the students use their hands and mind together, not just the mind. And then you have the affective domain. Here we concentrate on the character of the student. Initially, the student is in the receiving mode. He just listens to whatever you talk. And then he has to move on into responding mode. Most of the students don't respond at all. They just listen and just move away. So you need to build the character of the student. So we need to concentrate on this domain as well. So responding. Then they should know the value of themselves. Nowadays, students, they don't know their value. They don't know their worth. That is why they commit suicide and all. If somebody tells you are stupid, then they do go and commit suicide. Why? Because they do not know their value. They think somebody else should say, you are good, you are great. No, we should know our own value. They are in search of identity crisis. Everyone wants to be recognized. We call this as identity crisis. So they should know to value themselves. All this have to be taught by us. Organizing, how to organize myself, how to behave with my elders. And that becomes the character of the student. And it is the responsibility of every individual faculty to mold the students. And we are in the 21st century, and certain skills are required in the 21st century for the students. So that's what I mentioned earlier. We need to improve these skills in our students. Learning, literacy, life. Not just learning, they should also know about life skills. In learning, we have got several types like critical thinking, we've got creative thinking, we've got collaboration, and communicating. All these are skills, learning skills that a student should possess. Communication is the biggest tool that you can use it. If you do not know to communicate, and you will not be able to do anything. Even if you want to know an address, or even if you want to go and get a signature from a person, very simple thing, unless you know how to communicate properly, it is very difficult to get even a small signature. Yes. So our students are going to go into the world. We can keep them protected as long as they are with us in the inside these four walls. Inside our campus, we can keep them very, very protected. We can provide everything they want inside our college campus. In Panimalar, they provide everything, starting from food, they give everything inside the campus. All facilities are there inside the campus. But once they move out of the campus, they should be able to self-sustain. Yes, getting jobs are easy, but will they be able to sustain in the job? That lies only if they possess these skills. So we should be able to inculcate not only the book content. All these have to be taught along with this. That is where we come into place. Otherwise, Google is enough. We have to be different than Google. Yes, so our competitor is now Google. So let's see how to overcome that. So these are the literacy skills, where you've got literacy about information, media, technology, everything is available. Everything is available. But we need to know to filter it out and take which is better. Anna parava madri irukkum. But children will not know how to behave like that. Yes, Anna parava enna pannu, it will take only the milk and it will just leave off the water. Yes, same way here we've got lots, all good things and bad things are available in the net. So we should be able to guide them properly to filter it out and take whichever is essential for their life. And life skills. Life skills are more important. Our children, the millennials, lack in this. We need to teach them that these skills are important. How to develop those skills? We need to teach them. Yes, you allow them to take part in different activities. They'll automatically get these skills. We need not teach it in a class. This is a flexibility skill. You should have this skill. You should know how to work in a team. We cannot teach the skill. They should be able to practice it in the class. You give a teamwork to them, then they'll know to adapt among themselves. There comes the flexibility. Initiative, you give a group work to them. One of them will take initiative and say, I will start this, I will do that. Yes, socializing, you ask them to collect some survey. So they need to go and talk with different people and then able to get information from them. Productivity, how to create a product. Again, you give some model work, you give some your project work, mini project. You give some activity to them, you give some group discussion, you'll be able to find out who is the leader. You give a teamwork, you will be able to easily identify who will be the leader. So these skills cannot be taught in a class. That is not possible. While you're teaching your subject, all these skills have to be inculcated in them. Yes, these are all essential for their life. And when you assess them and evaluate also, all these should come based on your Bloom's taxonomy. All these are very, very major topics. I just want to touch upon it. Within 1.5 hours, we cannot learn everything. I just want to show you what are all available where you can learn it. And rubrics is one assessment tool where you can clearly tell them how the student is going to be assessed, on what criteria are going to be assessed. The biggest thing that we do is we do not tell how they'll be assessed. And without knowing how am I going to be assessed, I come to the class and write the exam. Oh, idallam kepangala, idukku ivlo mark ne enak theriyadhu. Yes, when they come for a project, I do not know that I have to come in formal dress, but I do not know that I should take part in it. I do not know that I have to bring my PPT. I do not know that there are so many slides. So let us tell them what is our expectation. If we're able to tell our expectation, then students will be able to meet up the expectations. So we have something called as Savita Teaching Learning Center in our campus. Okay. At Savita Engineering College, we are very close to your college. And those of your other faculty members also, you know that in Chennai-Bangalore Highway, we have a college. And I've established a center called as Savita Teaching Learning Center, where we give the faculty training in all these programs. Any training is needed in person, we can host you here in our campus. And these are the sessions that I handle in our center. This is an exclusive place with 30 systems and interactive tables where you can see only all round tables where faculty members can sit around and discuss and learn. So lots of training programs are conducted just to teach you how to educate. We are all called as engineering educators. Yes, so we are all educating the engineers. So we are all called as engineering educators. So many of us have international certifications so we are eligible to train others. Okay, so here we are training the people to take the classes more actively so that students will take part in the class. So we help you to convert student-centric, teacher-centric to learner-centric. So this is our classrooms. So I would like to conclude with a small story. It made a difference to that one. What is that? Here you can see a small child who was walking on the shore. He was able to see a lot of starfishes on the shore, and the starfishes are struggling to live. So what he did is he started collecting the starfishes and throwing it onto the ocean. One old person saw that. He walked towards the boy and asked him, "Why? What is he doing?" He said, "I'm just saving the lives of the starfish." Then the old man just laughed at the boy and said, "See, thousands of starfishes are there here. Will you be able to save all of them?" Then the boy replied, "I cannot save all of them, but I can make a difference to this particular one." Saying this, he threw another starfish into the sea. So that starfish is going to live. Same way, we cannot change the life of all the students, but definitely we can make a change in whichever student whom we meet. We are meeting hundreds of students every year. So let's try to make a difference in each one. So with this, I would like to conclude the session. If you have any queries, I'll be happy to answer. I'll be happy to answer any queries regarding this. I told you lots of things. So if you have any queries, how is this possible? Anything, if you want to ask in particular, I think I have closed very fast. I thought not much time is available, and I went fast. And we have got almost half an hour. So I am ready, open to discussion. So if you have any queries, you can put it in the chat box. I can answer to it. No queries?
Yes, madam.
Yes,
Hello.
sir. Yes, sir.
I have one question, madam. Actually, we are doing a lot of experiments as in the practical. So, in psychometer domain, which that act for we are doing some experiment in clutch or gearbox analysis and all. What keyword is to be used for that particular thing?
It has to be the final. If he's going to create a new one, it will be origination, sir, the last
Okay.
one. Or if
Okay.
you're going to learn how it has been done, he is going to re-engineer, do the re-engineering work and then try it, then it will be in the adaptation form, where it comes in the
Okay.
adaptation level, where already it is existing, we are just opening it and finding out how it has been done. So that we call it to be adaptation. If something is being created newly, then we call it to be origination. I had a small, thank you, sir. So Dr. Govindan has asked, are you providing training for NAC and NBA? Definitely we can do. We have got a dean for us for taking care of NBA, NAC and all. Any training we can provide. If we want it to be college specific, say if you want 30 faculty members from your college, specifically, exclusively for your own faculty, that can also be done. We can arrange it exclusively for your faculty. Say 20 or 30 of you want to come and take part in the training program. We are open to it. We can conduct exclusive sessions. I'll be organizing sessions which will be open to all colleges. In that also you can take part. Or if you want us to conduct it exclusively for any one topic, if you give a topic on this and if you want to train your faculty in that particular topic, in that also can be done. Fees will be there, sir. Demand depending on the course content and the number of days that you ask for, fees will be charged. Not much, which will be definitely it will be a reasonable charge. Anything free, no, it will not have a value. That is what I know. So as far as my knowledge, if you give something free, it will not have any value. So some reasonable charge will be there. So that it will be so that the value will be known to the faculty, whoever is participating. So that is the reason for getting the fee. Any other queries? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your wonderful session.